fucking
2020 is
it's
around the
almost
corner.
fucking 2020, bro. Can you fucking believe it? A whole
It's been
decade, man.
it's been setting in,
Really?
you know,
Hasn't hit me yet.
you know, over time because it was approaching, fast approaching. It's
Hmm.
quite something. It's different than other New Year's because it's the end of that decade. You
Yeah,
know,
man. Exactly.
you get the reflective period,
Yeah,
that
man.
feeling of looking back at the decade and where you
Yeah.
were at the beginning of it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah, man, it's extra reflection because normally every New Year's people reflect. What are
yeah,
my goals or what did I not accomplish? But 2020 is definitely one of the years that makes people reflect a bit more because it's the end of a decade. So now you're getting on YouTube, you're getting videos like the end of a decade, the best movies, right, of the decade, the best TV shows of the decade. So it's people are like, holy fuck, 10 years, man. And for a lot of people, I wouldn't say myself, but maybe for some people that are a bit older, I bet those 10 years just fucking flew right on by for a lot of people. So,
yeah. I guess everyone's different with that too in life perception. But when you do look back at the past, it's so compressed
yeah.
in the kind of time dilation of how you remember it a little bit.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the grand scope of your last 10 years that it seems like it was like so quick when you look back at it. It's
Yeah.
like, wow,
Yep.
so much
Exactly.
life that went by like that quickly as well.
When I remember Mass Effect 2 came out in 2010, I get shook sometimes because I can clearly remember playing that game. So it's a fucking weird feeling for me.
Yeah.
That's just one
When you
random
were like when
example.
you were like 10 years younger, like a teenager,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, man.
That's also a big jump going from being a teenager to adult in that period as well.
Yes, man.
You know. So
Blessed for
where
all the
so
positive changes I've made. I'm sure you've made as well. Bro, man, 2010 for me, man, like, of course I was just a teenager, right? And growing up and stuff, right? But now I can clearly see, man, that was the year we fucking graduated high school, man. It's been about almost 10 years
yeah,
since we graduated high school.
exactly. That too. It's like right on when we graduated our high school.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
Exactly, man. And this year, I feel like people are going to be keeping their resolutions for longer because it's more pronounced. It's the end of a decade. So people are really going to be like, all right, it's the start of a new fucking decade.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stick to these resolutions a little bit longer than February this time. So
Yeah.
hopefully that gets society moving in a positive direction. More people go to the gym or more people choose to eat healthy or maybe quit smoking so it's good. It's good that, the new year kind of brings us to sort of reflect and, brings the whole sort of time, clock time as they call it into perspective. It's like, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It makes sense. There's more of an imperative for people to change now, a little bit more mentally in their head. But I think also
Hmm.
it's like that mental motivation that people get from these sort of things, if that's all they have, that will die out pretty quickly. And that's why a lot of people fail those resolutions
Yeah,
as well,
true.
because their mental state changes by the time they're 1 month into it.
Yeah.
Before they do it, they're inspired, they have that mental drive, they have
Yeah.
that conviction, the
Yeah.
environment supporting their change, reminding them of the fact that another year has passed, 10 years have passed, and you can look back at it very clearly now.
Yeah.
There is that will help and that'll be a boost to a lot of people. But for them to sustain anything like that, that's when it gets into the grind, when they have to be willing to do it every single day and not slack, especially in the first period of developing those habits,
Hmm.
right? You have to be so consistent with it, even if it's a
Hmm.
very small amount every single day.
Hmm.
But if you are for, let's say, a month, 2 months, 3 months, then that's when it really starts to develop in the amount of time you're doing it
Hmm.
and how much you're progressing in that habit as well.
Oh yeah, man. And
So,
just to add to that as well, you're going to be failing even in those first 2 months. You're going to be failing so much,
yeah.
but you can't let those little failures stop you from trying again. You can't let like one obstacle, for example, or your ego or whatever it is, get in the way of that, right? And that's I feel like, people call it resolutions versus calling it a goal, right?
Hmm.
And I feel like people aren't also specific enough with their goals as they should be. So I think the way is just First of all, stop calling it a fucking resolution and turn it into a goal. And then build yourself the big picture and then just figure out how I'm going to achieve that and put it into smaller, more reasonable, put it into smaller, compartmentalize it into sections and fucking get it done.
Yeah, I mean, there is really incredibly effective strategies that people can pick up like that in terms of actually achieving goals, getting things done
Yeah.
that they want to. You know, if you are strategic about that, if you understand how kind of the human body works and the mind, and you learn these things, then yeah, if you can develop these habits in terms of every goal you do and understand how it works, then yeah, all these goals are very achievable that people have.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, they'll grow into more goals
Yeah.
as well
Exactly.
from that.
Snowballs.
And then the failure is fantastic for people as well. It seems like a negative experience, but it's
Yeah.
incredible how much positive can come out of that failure and being able to go back to the gym after you've skipped 4 days in a row and you've been
Yeah.
eating horribly,
Yeah.
to get back on that horse
Oh, that's hard.
and to put in that effort to get back
Yeah.
on and do it again, and to continuously fail but you continuously keep doing it. There's a huge amount of improvement that comes along with that.
Yeah.
You know, that's where you're hardwiring your brain now
Yep.
to do it against the resistance that your old brain has
Yeah.
against it. Now you're losing that resistance that your old model of thinking had towards those activities, however your brain was wired to act, you know, and rewiring in a new way. But that takes time. But if you know how to do it, like how to structure your habits, right? You take baby steps, but your baby steps are progressing. You don't set out outlandish goals and put too many on your plate that you can't even handle it, and then you get you become what's it called? You lose motivation to do it once you see you're failing and it's too much. There's no way you're gonna be able to achieve these goals. You're not seeing the results you want as quickly. If you just have those baby steps set in place on top of, like you said, a big picture, large goal, as well to kind of guide you in the way you want to channel those smaller goals to go into what direction you want, what things, skills you want to progress in, what information you want to learn that's going to relate to achieving that big goal in the end. If you set up a bunch of short-term goals, for instance, those baby steps, such as for one person, it's, do 5 push-ups. It might be nothing for them in the beginning, but if they do it, there will be a positive reinforcement that comes with that in their brain or subconscious. And then they can add 2 more push-ups the next day, and then 2 more push-ups the next week. They're progressing slowly, but the progression is solid. And it's actually allowing their brain to become hardwired, and they're not pushing themselves too much to the point where they just give up on all the goals. So if you're able to have those smaller and medium goals and prioritize which of those goals are going to lead to your big long-term goal, whatever you value, let's say, health, creating a business, being successful in some field, whatever, being an artist, being a creator, and you set up all those small and medium-term goals to help you achieve that, and you're just consistent with doing those small goals, the big ones will come. And this has been said and repeated and regurgitated like a million times. But it's still seems to be a thing that
Now here's the thing.
people can struggle with.
Here's the thing. That's great, and that's the way I feel like you should do it too. But the thing is a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, sure, they don't know that. Maybe they don't have the big picture of that or whatever. But I think a lot of people have goals and they struggle to achieve things and to do things.
Yeah.
And they're forced to learn these lessons as they fail.
Yeah.
Because they'll fail and it's not, and a lot of times it's something that they didn't do or it's something that they're not competent enough at yet, that they need to improve on and work on and change their perspective on perhaps, or open it up and be willing to learn. I guess the antidote to that is really to learn, to be open to learning and be willing to. The ego is what gets involved in that, the resistance, that idea of what you are, that you can't do it, that you've already failed before, it's not your thing because you're not doing well at it right away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's not even a lot of times the goal that's difficult for people or developing the habit, it's the getting over themselves to do it. And if you just put the right motivation for them, then they would do it 100% if they had to. But since people don't have to, death isn't imminent, the threat isn't imminent, You know, they
True.
can keep living their life in that comfort zone and nothing really bad is going to happen. They don't do it. But then what happens is they lose that long-term perspective of what they want their life to be at their highest self, what they picture as their highest self. And then they're living in the little comfort zone, the little small time goals, the little nonsense goals they make up every New Year's and give up. And then when they look down the road after 5, 10 years of their life, like on a day like today, on when 2020 is coming, they look back at how they're not that much different from 2010. You know, and then they have the perspective of what they could have been. That can hit some people.
I'm sure it has hit
You
a lot of
know?
people, right? Someone who's maybe like 40 to 50 and then hasn't really grown as much as they could have maybe in that time, and they've just kind of been working.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Something like that is what I think of, right? It's like you just day in, day out, you're working, you're working, you're working, and it's like, oh fuck, 10 years just passed by.
Hmm.
Well, what I was going to add from a little bit earlier, just to you know, I was agreeing with your point because what you said is true, man. I wanted to say that that first little intro period as well for beginners in any field, in anything you want to learn or require a skill in, is getting back on the horse before you've developed the proper discipline and hardwire your brain is one of the true tests to see if you deserve it as well. Because, you know, I feel like that's where it gets a lot of people. Once they start reaching those first 10 failures in their journey, let's say, let's use working out as an example, right?
Yeah.
Then that kind of stops people from completing their resolutions, in my opinion. That beginning stage where they don't have the hardwired uh, mentality for it yet. Because if you look at like ourselves, for example, right, it took us years of working out, not years, but you know, we're kind of already into it a little bit.
Mm.
And now you don't have to fucking tell me. Like that's already a part of my life now, right? But that beginning stage for people is tough. So
Yeah.
whoever's listening out there, don't fucking quit in February. Keep it going till at least April.
And like lifting in the gym isn't the only route as well. Maybe not everyone's different. Not everyone's really made for lifting or is going to enjoy it. There's so many different options for exercise and fitness that you can choose from. And maybe you don't enjoy one thing, but you can find something else that you enjoy and get all those health benefits from that.
Yeah.
And if you aren't doing something, at least like walking or some sort of cardio or anaerobic exercise, then you're going to suffer some consequences.
Yep. That's true. So,
Nice. Yeah. I think people are full of too much bullshit and they don't even realize it, like mentally. And I think if you look at a lot of people that people look up to as people that get things done, that accomplish a lot in their life, however you want to see it. You know, they look up to these people because of their accomplishment, of who they are, their status, they want to kind of be like them a little bit, their own
yeah.
version of them, right? They admire certain qualities of these people and they become big. They
Mm-hmm.
become huge celebrities just based on their character,
Mm-hmm.
not almost always their work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say for instance like Dwayne Johnson. You know, maybe not the greatest actor, not an Oscar actor. He does not the most emotional and all this stuff, but people are so enamored by him because of his charisma, who he is as a person, how he carries himself and acts, and also for the fact that he's fun in his movies. He's a fun guy in his roles, and he's massive.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of people, dude,
Mm-hmm.
are just watching this guy, following him on Instagram, listening to all his life advice as well now too. It's more than just him being an actor,
Yeah, good for him.
you know.
Yeah.
So, and if you just there's 1,000 people like him on social media now,
Yeah.
talking about their mindset and how they think, and there's a pattern between all of them. They're usually more honest with themselves, their work, what they do, what they need to improve on, and the one big thing I noticed is always self-responsibility for everything in their life, their business, their relationships, even how people react to them. A lot of those
Mm-hmm.
guys take responsibility for that, or they have this sort of ownership over their own destiny, their own power.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And
And, and,
it's
and they've done it and they've lived it and they prove that that works for what they're trying to do.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of them is creating businesses, creating wealth, creating success, not just material too. A lot of people, they're able to do so much in their lives. But then a lot of them, the ones that stay on top for a long time in terms of these business owners and celebrities is because they have found a balance in their life that works, that keeps them healthy on top of the fact that they've achieved so much in their life.
Yeah. True, man.
So it seems like people
Well
have this
said.
like insane potential to do great things, but it's really I don't want to or I can't. There's a lot of that in the way.
Yeah, playing the victim.
And being unclear on themselves.
Playing the victim
Playing the
is a
victim,
classic one that I hear so often. You know, it's not me, it's my job, it's the weather, it's the fucking economy, it's whatever. You fucking name it. I don't have time. I'm busy.
Yeah.
Don't be one of those people.
Yeah. All excuses that limit your mind and what you can do.